According to a recent report in the National Journal, George W. Bush apparently likes to joke with his friends and colleagues and occasionally sometimes reporters, saying that Donald Trump is making him look pretty good. And I'm assuming that George W. Bush is basing his newfound, I guess you'd call it stardom, on the fact that polls have shown that his approval rating has almost doubled in the time since Donald Trump was sworn in as President of the United States. And here's the problem that I have with this. Everyone, including Democrats, registered Democrats who now have an overall favorable view of George W. Bush, they're forgetting all of the atrocities that this man committed just because they don't like Donald Trump. You could compare anything to Donald Trump at this point, and the other thing that's not Donald is always going to look better. But that doesn't mean it's something that we should approve of or think positively about. And that's the case with George W. Bush. George W. Bush committed war crimes. He did it at Abu Ghraib, he did it at Guantanamo Bay, and they did it at countless CIA black sites across the planet. That's not exactly the kind of guy that we should be looking back on and saying, you know what, maybe he wasn't that bad. Hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people in the Middle East dead because of George W. Bush's war based on lies. So can we stop this romanticization of George W. Bush, suddenly thinking that maybe this guy wasn't all that bad? He was. He was horrible. Just a shade better than Donald Trump at this point, and even that is debatable. I'm not willing to say that George W. Bush is better than Donald Trump. I think they're both sitting right there at the bottom rung of the ladder, tied for last place. George W. Bush does not deserve to be admired. George W. Bush is not a guy that we should look back at and say, those were the good old days. Remember when he deregulated Wall Street to the point that they committed all these crimes and then ended up throwing this country into a massive recession? What a great time to be alive, right? All those people killed in those Middle East war, all those people tortured illegally across the globe. And his attorney general and assistant attorney general and legal counsel writing those memos that somehow legalized torture even though that was illegal. Scooter Libby, getting arrested, all that. Weren't those great times for American citizens? No. And that's what we're forgetting about the George W. Bush administration. I understand that it's easy to compare something to Donald Trump again and say that it looks nice compared to him. But even a piece of crap next to Donald Trump, though more favorable, is still a piece of crap. If you're thinking about subscribing to our channel, I strongly encourage you to do that. But if you're not thinking about subscribing, I would encourage you to start thinking about it, and then once you're thinking about it, actually go and do it. You can see the subscribe button right there on the screen, or if you're watching on a different platform, go to youtube.com/theringofFire.